being live streamed. Got it?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. So hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We have a quorum present, so we are calling the City of Akron Public Art Commission meeting to order. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which were provided before we met today. So I'd like to ask if there are any corrections or feedback. All right, motion to approve the minutes.
I also move that we approve the minutes from our last meeting.
And I second.
All right, all members in favor say aye.
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 All members opposed say aye. All right, minutes have been approved. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. From our last meeting, Summer has agreed to take the minutes, but we are still needing a secretary role who could review the minutes once Summer gets them all written up and ready for review. Is there anyone who would like to nominate themselves or self-nominate? Hi, Eric. We were just moving through the agenda. We approved the minutes from the last meeting, and we were looking into if anyone is interested in serving in the secretary capacity. Summer has agreed to be the one to take the minutes, and this person would really just be reviewing and making sure everything's correct from our meetings. All right, I'm going to move on.
I'll do it.
Okay, you're
Yep.
you're good with that,
Yeah.
John?
Summer knows how to
Okay.
get a hold of me.
All right, motion to approve John as secretary.
I make a motion.
I second.
Awesome. All members in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All members opposed? All right, John has been approved as the secretary. And with that, we can move on. We've had some updates that I emailed about the applications that we had on the docket from last month's meeting. The cities. Okay, that's all right, Eric. We do, I just got a message from Eric. So we do have a quorum present and everyone's able to be on video. So Eric, that's okay. I know Lauren was having issues too with Zoom. It was kicking her out. So we have a quorum present. We'll just keep on moving forward with the folks that we have on video and audio. So the city's project, they're moving forward with a banner which doesn't fall under the public art realm. The city has also the Black Lives mural, Black Lives Matter mural is moving forward because they have the right to maintain it. And that was something that was before the commission's time on approval. So that was already an existing project. I'd like to move forward to talk about the public art inventory. We had discussed that this was a priority for the commission and really for the city to consider before any more implementation of artwork. Important to kind of categorize all of the artwork that we already have in the city, what really needs to be maintained. And so we're trying to figure out ways how to move forward in that realm. So a little bit background for our new commissioners. Last year we had a intern from the University of Akron through the Excel program who came up with a list of artwork. And mostly it was I would say downtown Akron. And I'll make sure to share that with new commissioners if I haven't already. So that was a really great first step in identifying all of the public art that Akron has, but there's obviously holes, artwork that hasn't been fully inventoried. And so we've been in discussions about how to move forward in that realm. And last meeting, we had Mac Love, who came in and had a bunch of projects for us to consider, but then he also had the Akron art map that he had proposed, which really isn't a public art project. So we decided that this was something that we need to discuss at another time without being in that kind of public art application process. So with that all said, there's still a need to inventory all of the public art that we have and do it in a way that really has all of the artwork in all of the neighborhoods. And through Mac's proposal, he had mentioned doing a survey of all of the neighborhoods, which would be fully encompassing all of the Akron art projects that we have going on. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to discuss that. I do think it would be an important step for the city of Akron to consider Mac's project, just because if it's administrative capacity, I do think that having an outsider who can really come up with a complete and comprehensive inventory is an important step into this kind of next process, even if it's just kind of an initial inventory, and then moving forward, eventually the next step could be hiring an actual conservator who probably would be an expensive person to do that kind of initial step of doing all of the inventory. The other thing we have explored is an intern, which Summer has gone through the process of trying to get another intern through the Excel program. Unfortunately, we haven't had any applicants or any interns come up through that process. And I believe that was something that she completed the paperwork back in the springtime. So that's just another reason why I'm kind of hesitant to rely on an intern to do it completely, unless we do more outreach to the arts administration program, or if anyone has personal kind of connections with UA, I would say specifically just because we are trying to go through the Excel program. I know I have recommended reaching out to Arnie to see if anyone from that program, since he's the coordinator, if we could get anyone that way. But any thoughts or recommendations you'd like to put out there in regards to the public art inventory?
So Kat, if I may, I think it would behoove the commission to kind of see Mac's sort of presentation on this. And I don't know what costs are associated, but also I think we need to keep in mind, how do we maintain it moving forward? So maintaining the inventory, not maintaining the art per se. And then that other part, though, of maintaining art, public art, we can start to look at strategies, whether it's just a contract or like per artwork piece, that type of thing. Because I think they also, what comes before us, and I'd have to go back to the arts and culture plan, is also, there could be some pieces that are deemed irreparable or what have you, and just need to be removed, that type of thing. So I think just having all of that as part of not just taking the inventory, but maybe taking getting an initial, photo and either a quick rating of A, B, C, or whatever regarding its condition can help that, but just kind of laying as much of the groundwork as possible. So the first thing I said was just make, perhaps having Mac Wolf come in and, because I don't know if there's other options out there. I don't know if we can always ask, I forget the name of the organization that helped us establish the arts and culture plan, but there may be other cities that have a appropriate inventory system or they've used that we can look at as well. I just want to make sure this isn't something that we do and then get shelved and then we forget about, or we can't work with, or anything of that sort.
I agree. I would like to see us use our small budget for this year on hiring someone to do this. And I don't remember if we saw Mac's full proposal. I know we talked about it, but I think it's a good idea to also get multiple proposals to review and then make a decision of who we're going to go with to start this process.
Is the public art inventory the same as the map project?
It's kind of conflating the two of them. So from my understanding, when I reviewed Mac's application, which we can definitely have him come back and do a full proposal or full presentation. This was really something that he identified through the website. We have this listing on our website, akronpublicart.org or whatever it is. And it says how one of our initiatives is to make a publicly accessible listing of all of the artworks in Akron, public art in Akron. So this was really to kind of come up with a map so that anyone, you could see it on the website. But through that process, it would be an inventory type of situation. If he's creating this kind of map of all of the artwork that already exists, he had mentioned in his application of getting, artwork, title, the artist involved, the current condition, and things of that nature. So just an update, I have been in talks with Blind Eye Restoration. This is a person, Lindsay, I'm blanking on her last name, but her and I have had a few conversations, and typically she is a conservator. She does a lot of conservation for the city of Columbus. And so that's really her main realm. I did talk to her about the possibility of her doing a catalog of all of the artwork, the public art inventory. And my thoughts were, just because she is a conservator, that, maybe she should be kind of owning this process from start to finish. So I haven't heard back from her about her cost, but that's something that, I can always nudge her about and see if this is something that she has capacity to take on. It might be something that I know that we're kind of getting short on time, that we could also, consider and keep talking about. And it might be something that we propose to the city to take on next year. But I just wanted to continue momentum on this conversation, since I know this has been something that we've talked about and we want to continue to do. And at our next meeting, we could have Mac join us for a full presentation of what that all looks like. And hopefully we can maybe reach out to a few others. I can follow up with Blind Eye Restoration. Summer, I don't know if you're still in contact with Designing Local, but if you could reach out to them, I think that would be helpful too, to see if they have any recommendations on conservators or what this process looks like.
And also Sabretooth.
Oh, yeah.
The ladies that used to have, what was it, Art Bomb, or
Art Bomb Brigade.
Yes, they would be very interested in speaking to the commission to see how they can help.
Great. My only other thoughts is if we wanted to do individual outreach to organizations that have done a lot of public art already. Again, I do think that's kind of, we'll have pockets of art that are missing, but it could be a way to still aggregate those resources. So then whoever does complete this full public art inventory, that at least they have some steps ahead with the public art that we already have inventoried too. So I'm just thinking of Downtown Akron partnership, reaching out to ward members, the leaders, and seeing if we could collect public art through that kind of process. But again, that's kind of a lot of individual outreach, I think. And we won't get everything, but it could be a start as well. All right, so we'll ask Mac to join us for the next meeting and prepare kind of a presentation and do some outreach to Sabre, Public Art, and some of these other folks that we mentioned on this call. All right, so that was really it for any kind of discussion that I had on the agenda. We have kind of a short agenda. Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
I just had a question that I wanted to bring up. So I know that you mentioned there are projects that happened before the Public Art Commission was a thing, and so now they're like excluded from us. I guess I'm more curious about that. Like, for example, the Front International work. I noticed that like the dance floor, I was there on Monday, and one of the big donuts was like pushed over on the side. It doesn't look very good. So I'm just curious, like that was something that didn't like come through our process, but it is public art. So like, how are we navigating this? Because to me, I would like to see that maintained, but it also like isn't in our purview, I guess. So how are we dealing with this?
It is, and it should have come through the commission. I was not made aware of it until it was already there. Someone signed off on it within the city, and I did say, you know, that was supposed to go through public arts. What I plan to do is reach out to that artist and have them still fill out an application, so that we can go over the maintenance plan, because like you said, the donut was loose, right? So if that falls in the towpath, or if it rolls on someone, you know, who signed, and I need to find out who signed off on that too, without referring them to the commission. So yes, that should have been brought to the commission. And as far as when you had said about like things that had happened before, I think it should still come to the commission with what their maintenance plan is going to be. Such as like the Black Lives Matter Mac talked about on the last call. I'm still trying to figure out what the thoughts were behind it, far as the maintenance plan, because it was approved back in April, before we even became a full commission. So I don't even have the paperwork to show who was planning to maintain it, how often it was going to be maintained, the type of paint that was used, all of that. So I'm still trying to research that. So anything that was done before, I think it still needs to come to the commission so that we can make sure that the maintenance plan and the funding is there. Does anyone agree with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just thinking about like this process, I know that we have set it up so that people do have to apply. I have a meeting with the Cuyahoga Falls Commission the end of September, and I've just been kind of interested in how they're going through the application process. They have a master plan that I think is more specifically geared towards murals, but I have been wondering if there's an easier way for us to review and approve applications. I mean, I know that some of these things do warrant a conversation. But I don't know if it's always necessarily easy, since, you know, a lot of projects kind of come last minute and we only have a meeting once a month, which I'm not suggesting that we have more meetings, by no means, but I do just wonder if there's an easier way for people to get our approval, or our eyes on it at least. I just say that because I feel like there are a lot of projects out there, and, you know, I don't think people are necessarily going through the commission for whatever reason. If that's just, they don't know about it, which I know we had talked about doing a fall kind of campaign about a brand awareness and raising awareness about the commission, or if it's more of just what I kind of talked about earlier of not wanting to go through, or not understanding what the process is, or being on a time limit and not being able to do the full kind of application process.
We're able to change the way we do things as far as like a submittable application, if you think that's too much. I think we just did it because we were trying to figure out an application process, but
Yeah.
that was the commission, you know, we talked about what we thought should be on the application. So if we want to change it, you know, it's not grandfathered in that this is something that you guys have to keep if there's other practices that are easier. So yeah, we can always revisit that if there's, you know, other commissions that are doing things differently. Cuyahoga Falls is an actual board, not a commission. They're part of the zoning board through Cuyahoga Falls, what makes it makes it different from us. Where we're a commission, we're just kind of like our own thing. They're actually a board and they do all the zoning. So they're a little bit more like tied to the funding, because Cuyahoga Falls, I think that the lady had said earlier that Cuyahoga Falls funds their things, so they match everything.
Gotcha. I guess my question more so is whether can we vote on projects via email, or kind of, I don't know if there's some kind of software that does voting automatically, or something like that for ease, or if there are these projects that need to get going that they're not going to make the meeting deadline.
Mhm. Well, voting, it has to be live or in person.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
We have all this, don't we already have all this documented in our, didn't legal document all that?
yeah, when we talked about the Zoom meetings and things like that, yeah, so you all had voted to go back live, virtual. But if we came back in person, we wouldn't have to be virtual, we'll be in person with an open door, kind of like how council does. And then you can vote that way also. But in order to vote, it has to be, you know, quorum and all together.
I don't think the issue is the voting or how we came about or how it's going. Of course, people have their own thing going on as far as public art or art in general. As the commission is forming, we're trying to set a standard and gather what we can and know moving forward and establishing some type of grounding. And I think even with some of the stuff we talked about today, even with Ms. Mayor, that all that planning and really like, okay, what are we doing versus having gaining momentum or small things that can keep us going on the same timeline as the bigger lifts. And those bigger lifts, of course, is the cataloging, the maintenance, but all at the same time, you are pushing in different things that can engage the community, pushing in, like even when we did try to do the press releases or pushing in smaller projects that we can agree on and stand on the fact that we do have some type of funding to start off. Once you start rolling out certain projects or just that small bit of funding also that was discussed from the bottom, then it will gain momentum and bring on more funding. But if we still hold on, I understand the TIF and all that type of stuff, because there's a bureaucracy around this commission. It's not necessarily, again, like Summer said, the board like Cuyahoga Falls. It's a lot of, you gotta do this way, this way, this way, and it's through the city itself. So as the commission, try to figure out small gains that can bring in the community understand and know. Also, artists know that this is what's happening, that we are hiring artists to do X, Y, and Z, do those small things. But then again, keeping track of our catalog, the things that we know we have to set in place when we get to rolling off, period, to sustain going forward. So I think we're just doing a lot of understanding or trying to compete with what's out there, but we need to just know how we run and execute how we are set up to do. And we do have money set aside and work on that. What are we doing?
Again, I go
Anyone?
back to the fact that we should get our foundational things in place. So just iron out some of these other, get the inventory done, whether it costs, spend dollars that way, get the messaging out there regarding the Public Art Commission and the processes. So I think we need to get that all established, like well established. To Summer's point, we had, started with submittable because we were just kind of running down the launch path or what have you. So I think we just need to get I'm gonna call it, get our house in order right now. And just finalize, some of these things so that we can be pretty much smooth running from that point on. And then we can start to do, if we can pick up a night, like I think you were describing, Dora, like, low hanging fruit, something that we can do that shows everyone. Kind of goes back to the electrical boxes that Mayor Horgan wants to see, or something like that, that the commission can spend dollars on that's not overly expensive. Then I think that's a great way to reinforce the fact that we exist and what our function is.
I know one thought, and I was talking to Katie earlier in our engagement today with Arts Now. They had talked about the CDCs and people not knowing who the CDCs are. And my thought was the commission can actually do an event where it can meet the Public Arts Commission and the CDC. We can do it together. So that way when people come out, not just people, but residents, artists can come out, the CDCs will be there, government, businesses. It's just a big event. Meet the Public Arts Commission. We're hosting this, we're putting this on, but also meet your CDC, right? And then we can collaborate together. That way the CDCs can promote public art, as well as the municipalities can promote public art. And that way we're here, we're visible. This is who we are. I can easily find a space, do some small snacks, have tables of different CDCs, have a table for public arts, and just let people meet you and see what the commission is about and learn how to do an application or learn how to submit or get thoughts from the community on what some locations we need public art in. Just a way to communicate.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then as we come together and meet, we're still addressing the catalog, the maintenance, but you still have different things on the side to say this is what it is, like constant engagement. So that's a great idea, Summer.
Yeah, and even if that's something we could do this year, I'm open to what that would look like and if we wanted to use some of the funds that we had set aside since they are available and we haven't done anything with them yet. But yeah, I personally do like the submittable application. My question was about, like if we can vote by email, which I didn't see in our rules that we weren't able to, but again, that kind of goes back into what Dara was talking about, is that we have an application, we already have a process, so let's move forward with that, and this is what it is. So my thoughts are, let's hear from Mac at our next meeting. And we can reach out to some other community partners who might be able to also do a public art inventory, and kind of proceed from there and see how we're feeling about that, the public art inventory, and then we can move forward too with thinking about community engagement projects.
I think Sabretooth Public Art should be considered or be reached out to about inventory or at least bringing them in to talk about what they're doing as well. And I know, Summer, that you got their contact info today.
I agree. Sabretooth was definitely a heavy hitter in knowing the ins and outs, and especially that space of the artist as well. But they have done enough work over the years, so they're very well established too.
Cool. Any
I think
other
it's hard to-
recommendations?
I just think it makes it hard when we only have it one meeting a month. Like, how will we, if we talk about, like, would you guys be opposed to maybe having another meeting? Not saying every single month, but while we're trying to figure out who we want to use to do the art inventory, or if we put on this event, we'll need to meet again to kind of talk about it versus meeting again in October and then we have an event in November. We have to talk a little bit more than just once a month. And that would just more so be a conversation. So we wouldn't have to go through all the logistics of YouTubing and all of that. This would more be a conversation of planning our next step.
So Summer, like if we, I think if we do the CDCs or whatever, I think that's great. I think it's sort of a divide and conquer type approach, like whoever's available. And then I think to your other part of your question, like, basically you're just saying, can we give more time to getting, the house in order type thing? I think if it can be added to this meeting or something like that, where we can just kind of block a chunk of time, that makes it easier for scheduling, perhaps, maybe for some of us. And I'm, would be willing to do that.
So you're saying like on the same day, go a little longer?
Yeah, like, so we started at 4 o'clock today and, and 4 to 5 is the actual meeting, for the public, and 5 to 6, we're doing some of the other work or whatever. It's 4 to 6. But I mean, I defer to Kat and others to that too.
Yeah, I'm happy to do what John suggested. I know that's kind of a long chunk of time if people don't have capacity. My other thought is I'm happy as chair to also do some of those meetings, and if we wanted to record it for others to watch in the meantime, like if Summer, you and I wanted to try to have a meeting between now and our next commission meeting, and then give folks an update and record it and give them time to watch it. I don't know how others feel about that, but I'm willing to do that as well.
It kind of makes it hard for me to stay a lot later at work, because I have to get my daughter. So we can try it also, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I guess my thoughts on the public art inventory is that I think I mean, it would be nice if artwork is photographed during nice weather as opposed to like in the middle of December or something. So just based on timing, I'm not so sure how likely that would be to get that all completed by the end of this year. But my thoughts are that we could start those conversations, we get these proposals and really think about it. And offer it to whoever that we think is the best person or organization to do that, and then kind of implement something in the spring so that all of the artwork is photographed during a time that you can fully see it and fully actually see what maintenance needs are going to need to happen too. Just because if there's snow covered on a sculpture, that's going to obstruct the view. So that's just my thoughts about it. I would say,
I have a
Yeah.
suggestion.
go ahead, Dara.
I think we're this catalog, I think we're making it a big looming cloud. Break it up in size of town, not necessarily the whole thing all at once. But for instance, if we do the west side of Akron from the end of September, by October, mid to end of October, the west side of Akron is done. Then the next, as we don't really see snow perhaps till after January, I hope, but okay, December, no break. But anyway, so then hit another side of town, but have an actual scheduling of this needs to be, we're taking pictures and inventory for this month and a half, or however, that time slot, and be done with that side of town. And then by spring, finish up the other two sides, pull it all together, and then we have the catalog, and then then the next step to go through all of it together, or however, but break it up. Like, we're getting overwhelmed with the tasks. I feel like break it down, make a schedule of how this will be rolled out, and just getting that part done
So
versus all at one time.
I have a question. So I'm having a hard time following all of it, right? The funding, who's doing what. But if we're quote unquote hiring someone to do that, that's going to be their task to complete, right? So whatever the best way for that organization to get the task done is what I think we should start implementing, right? Because if we tell them to do it one way, they might have a better system than what we're suggesting. Great suggestion, Dara, by any means. If, as I'm hearing it, if we're doing the inventory, right, we could handle West Akron in 1 month or so, and then the next person can do another part, and on and on. But we should definitely listen to whomever we're interviewing to complete that task and ask the questions. How are you going to complete this? What's your timeline? What's your schedule? Let's set some deadlines and parameters. Also, we also need to review what they're doing, a progress report, to see what they're coming up with, to make sure they're not going down a rabbit hole and not at the end of the task presenting something that doesn't accommodate what we need. So I'll just say that from the business side of the mind, but also we need someone, what's the word I'm looking for? We need someone that is, I don't want to say not connected to it, but to make sure that we're getting everything that we need. That is not a marketing strategy for that organization. I guess you might say that I went to this section of the town where I did all my work versus this section of the town where others did their work, right? So we got to be careful with that as well. So that's all I'll say.
And even on the flip side, if we assess it, like even as the commission assessing where that funding will go once it's assessed. So say as they comb through, we can take a side of town at a time and assess how much money will go in each side. as they work as well, but a continual back and forth, like you're mentioning, a relationship with whoever we're hiring. But I just feel like the talk is very, very overwhelming, or that's what I'm hearing, that is overwhelming in general.
That's great suggestions. And that's true, Eric. We should always kind of trust, and also check, whoever we do hire for this. I think for the time being, we should move forward with asking Mac to present at our next commission meeting, and also reach out to Sabretooth, as well. Ideally, I think it would be great to get both of them on that meeting. And it probably would be wise to ask them to come at different times if that's possible. So it's not this
Absolutely.
weird kind of competition.
Absolutely.
Like a time frame, like 30 minutes for each person.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And then, yeah, go ahead.
So you would like Mac and also Sabretooth to be present at our next call, presenting what, how they could collect the public art inventory in Akron? What
Yeah,
exactly are we asking for?
for Mac to give a presentation on public art inventory, and his Akron art map. And then I think first reach out to Sabretooth and see if this is something that they would have capacity to do or even interest to do. And then if they do, ask them to present as well.
I don't know if they would specifically want to do the inventory, but today at the conference, they did mention wanting to share about what they're doing and ideas that they have for the commission.
And then they may also have someone in mind. You know, they were, you know, the one lady was saying something about nobody knows her. You know, like, well, we need to communicate. So we might know someone that can help. So, yeah. But you're right. I don't know exactly if that's something they would want to do, but we can always ask.
Mhm.
Tell us yes or no.
I have a question. It feels connected to this based on the answer, but is there any talk or hope for the summer arts experience to return in any capacity?
That was something that wasn't a part of the commission. And so I'm not sure, to be honest.
That was part of the city's initiative, but because the commission is here, that's something that we could lead.
I just wondered, because it was going to grow and then it stopped, and it's been a minute now. But like the conversations today at the earlier event and just in general, there's always this gap. And yeah, I'm like all over the place. With the gap, something like that program met the gap a bit. You brought in artists to lead youth to do a project with a structure and a system, and everybody was paid well. Beautiful setup, lots learned. But I see a connection in my mind in how it works, that this could be a project with that system to do really well and get way more involvement, which matters more than the inventory itself, because you can take the inventory and if people don't care, then, but if you get the buy-in and just to see over and over like those projects and the people involved and how that builds. Like it's all the things that people pointed out in stories today and continually do, but there is a gap, and I think it is hard to do it. Everything takes more time with youth, but we have high schools on all the sides of towns. I don't know, it could be tricky, but I think the value behind it would be worth considering. And I'll leave it at that.
Isn't that funny? The shortest agendas usually seem like the meetings go on the longest. But I want to be respectful of everyone's times. So if there's no other comments or feedback, there's no public comments for us to read. So I would like to,
One question.
yep,
Okay, so design, not design local, help me.
Sabretooth.
No. The grant that we won.
Oh,
We'll try that. That should be
yes,
coming up soon.
okay.
So you guys think about what you want the website to look like. Go to the website, check it out, see what changes can be made. That's something that, as far as the grant that we won, they're gonna make some updates and changes. And I would like to be able to present them with ideals up front. Versus, prolonging and meeting month after month. I don't know what their deadline and time frame is or how long they plan to work on this project. But if you can brainstorm, send me some ideas, I can put them together or send them to Kat. We can put them together and I will be able to, forward it to them saying, hey, this is the thoughts of the commission. This is what they think the website should look like. Do we want to change the pictures periodically of, public art? Do we want to have a link with on the website with all of the public art and maybe a link with all the private art? Maybe a kind of like a telephone book of artists. So just things like that. Oh, and then also one more thing. I plan to set up a call and I'll send out information. Dara and I sit on the Akron Civic Commons arts plan with Lock 3. And I know they want to have an artist curated council. I know Dara and I had spoke that we feel that the commission could be that council. But I'll try to set up a call with Ryan Austin and Dan Rice and you all to see if this is something that you would be interested in doing. Dara, do you want to maybe piggyback on that quickly? Or?
The reason it was brung up because all the things that council would do is what the commission would be doing anyway. So I really strongly wanted to involve our person that really can comb through everything is John Fume. I thought of you the whole time when we were just talking, just to make sure that it mirrors that no one is doing any extra work, but this is something that can assist but sustain the commission and knowing this is the pivotal point where how we can kind of set ourselves up or set up the commission going forward, that people do have to come through the commission to get public arts set in place. And then very importantly, that everything stems off of maintenance. At the end of the day, you put up a mural, however, how will it be maintained? And I think a lot of that strong language should also come from us too. And that was a lot of questions just in this task force. So in this arm of that task force to put rotating art or public art from local artists, starting out, it just made sense. But also to make sure that it matches, that we're not doing anything outside of what the commission is supposed to do. I would just like to have a conversation to make sure it is clean cut and not making up stuff. So that would be the first step. And that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, if you don't mind sending information, I'd like to look over a little bit more and consider what all of the responsibilities and whatnot entail first before committing to anything.
Definitely.
All right, so we don't have any public comments, so I will move on to adjourning the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
One thing,
Uh,
who said first and second? I guess maybe we should start saying like I and then maybe say your name. And then second, say your name. I mean, I'm gonna watch this over again, but yeah. Who did the first adjourn? I'm sorry.
Me.
And Larissa second.
All right, all members opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned. We will meet next on Wednesday, October 12th at 4 p.m.
Hey, Kat, can you stay on for a second?
Yes,
Okay, let me shut the live stream down.
thank you, everyone else.
Thanks.
Thank you.